But in September the 16th, they loaded us all up and we went out the airfield again. And we jumped in Holland then.
1944.
On September the 17th.
17th, on a Sunday.
Yeah. And
at noon, we were eating.
yeah, we jumped there.
We were.
And I landed in Groesbeck. I always jumped the fifth man out of the plane that was flying on the left in the front formation. And Gavin, our general,
so he was over here.
They flew in a triangle formation, the airplanes did. Gavin flew in the first one, and I was the fifth man out. And supposedly they thought I was a pretty good man with the bazooka, so I had a bazooka.
That's an anti-tank?
Yeah, anti-tank weapon, yes. A rocket. And they dropped a bazooka in an equipment bundle from the airplanes, and they had different colored parachutes for different pieces of equipment. But the parachute for the bazooka happened to be a white parachute. And all the reserve chutes that we carried were white also. And our regular jump chute was a camouflage chute. And so when we jumped in Holland, near Groesbeck I jumped. And when I got on the ground, I started looking for my bazooka, and we're out on a big potato field that had been harvested, and they're shooting at us like crazy and knocking the airplanes down that's coming behind us, and I'm running all over the field looking for that bazooka because it's in a white chute. And there's quite a few white chutes laying around too, but the guys had opened up. So I had a little trouble. It probably took 10-15 minutes to find that.
And they're shooting at
bazooka.
You the whole time.
It's a long time when you're being shot at.
My helper, my loader, trying to think of what his name is now. McMillan. He was going, and I happened to look up, and there was guys jumping after us on the same field, and stuff. And I looked up, and here come an equipment bundle down, just going end over end from the airplanes. They had them hanging under the old DC-3s, and when the guys would jump, they'd release them, and they'd come down on a chute also. And here come equipment bundle down, and they're about 5 foot long, big around as a steering wheel, 18 inches around. And what it is, it's a big blanket, quilted blanket, and it wraps up around the equipment. So when it hits the ground, nothing gets broken. And I looked up, and I said, "Look out, Mac." And I grabbed a hold of him and jerked him over, and here that equipment bundle come down, and it hit flat right beside us, not 6 foot away on the ground. And you know, that equipment bundle was full of tank mines. Now, if it would have hit on the end, most likely it would have blew up. It would have took a lot of people out right then.
You wouldn't be here sitting talking.
It was just lucky it lit flat on the side so that it didn't have to set them off for some reason. But anyway, pretty quick, well, we found the bazooka, and headed out and got off the field, and the planes was going down like crazy.
Yeah.
Around. The Germans was shooting them down. They had a little 20 millimeter gun that shot 5 shots, and they loaded it from the top. While it was shooting 5, they could load it there, and then they could load the other side while it was shooting that side. And they were shooting right out in the nose of the C-47s that was coming in,
Yeah.
and knocking the pilots out right away. They had aerial shrapnel bursts, you know. Wasn't a very, 20 millimeter, they're not a very big shell. But they could sure shoot them. And they were little gun, they short barrels, and they pulled them around on a little cart, and they could shoot down on the ground with them or shoot up in the air. Like this, we picked one of them up and used it until I run out of ammunition. It was a very good little gun. And so we got off the airfield and got through the woods and over to the spot where we were supposed to go. And which happened to be a railroad bridge right there. Yeah, get that picture. We was there by the camp by this bridge in the morning, early in the morning. A train come up this track. It come around. The track curves, and the S curves back down here. The train come up around this track, and I'm over here on this corner with the platoon I'm with, the defense platoon and stuff. So we heard that train coming, and I grabbed my bazooka and I run across that bridge and run down this side. And when that train come up there, in about this area right here, that shows in the picture, I shot it with the bazooka. And I hit it right in the boiler, first shot, and the steam and the water flew out of it, and all the Germans piled off from it and took off running and shooting at us and stuff, because our guys was on both sides of that track right there. And so they shot them Germans up and stuff, and fact is all of them was killed. There wasn't any wounded there at all. Everybody on the train was killed but the engineer. And he crawled up under the engine, was laying there.
He was a Hollander.
He was a Hollander. And there was probably 25, 35 Germans on the plane, on that train. And they were all shot, and a couple of our guys got wounded, but none of us got killed. None of the guys got killed. And so in the story, on to Berlin, General Gavin writes a little piece about that.
We have the book, yeah.
Yeah. He wrote a book. And he says that we captured the Germans. But the Germans wasn't captured. Every one of them was killed. Gavin wasn't there.
He was there.
Well, Gavin wasn't there that day. He might have been around right there in that area someplace, but he wasn't there. But they were all killed. And I'll tell you why they were probably all killed. It's because just about every one of the guys there had been drinking.
Really?
About all the guys that was there that morning had been drinking the night before and was still about half drunk from that. And it isn't something that was unusual during the war.